Welcome to Kicker Radio. I'm Cameron Kilfoy.
And I'm Margaret Harvey. A special shout out to those of you watching us on Rogers Community Television. In this half hour, we'll look at a big empty space where Sears used to be. What plans does the Avalon Mall have to replace its biggest tenant?
Is time ticking away on your traditional watch? The answer will surprise you.
And we'll take you in a special program for folks living with cancer.
But first, here's Ashley Shepard with the news.
With the mall's biggest retailer now empty, residents of St. John's have lots of input about what they would like to see the space being used. We'll hear more about that in the next half hour.
They can make an arcade there. That'd be cool. My girlfriend said she wanted a Marshalls to be closer. Like anything really that's out in the East End, like a big cool shop, like even like a Best Buy. That'd be better to have in town next to everyone else having to go all the way to the East End.
Agriculture in Newfoundland is growing, and so is the importance of keeping an eye on the bee population. I spoke with a chemistry student from Memorial University about the research he's doing.
And of course, bees are important because they pollinate so many crops. Not so much in Newfoundland yet, but where our agricultural sector is growing, the bees will become more and more important as we're growing more food for us on the island.
The 2018 Winter Games are on all next week in Deer Lake. Kicker's Josh White was out on location in Deer Lake this past weekend for all the excitement.
The 2018 Winter Games is back for another year. This time, it's in Deer Lake. Over 1,300 athletes and hundreds of volunteers will be at the games. The mayor of Deer Lake, Dean Ball, says that they've only had a short amount of time to prepare for the games.
February 2017 is when we decided that we would take it on. It was a bit short, but first time ever that somebody did it in less than a year, so it's good.
With only about a year to get ready, the town of Deer Lake was up against it. They needed help, and they got it from local sponsors, businesses, residents, and nearby communities.
We got the bowling and ice hockey is at our recreation center. We got basketball, gymnastics, badminton, and table tennis at the Xavier and Elwood schools. We got our Pentecostal Church gym is doing volleyball and the wrestling. And in Corner Brook at the Civic Center, we got the figure skating. And even in Pasadena, we got the cross-country skiing. And Steady Brook at Marble Mountain, we got the alpine skiing. And, of course, we have curling at the Curling Club in Corner Brook. So it's a good cross-section of community involvement from here to Corner Brook, we did a similar thing in 2006. So it's a great experience for our youth, for sure.
Brad Romaine is a games coordinator for the Winter Games this year. He says the Winter Games can't be a success without the town of Deer Lake and surrounding areas coming together as one community.
In Winter Games in particular, I mean, of course, there's several winter sports that dictate their venue, whether it's cross-country, downhill skiing, curling. So, I mean, we didn't have the facilities in Deer Lake, so naturally we'd have to go outside the community. Actually, we've had great response from each one of those communities. We have to, it takes a little bit of pressure off you. I mean, we want to have a successful games, and I mean, we can't provide all the venues, and I mean, so to have someone come up on board and say, listen, no, we'll take care of that for you. So, and it's great.
The Winter Games are in full swing. You can catch all the action until Saturday, but what impresses Dean Ball and Brad Romaine the most is the support from the community and the surrounding areas to help make these Winter Games successful. Reporting for Kicker Radio, I'm Josh White.
Cane's Quest is the longest snowmobile race in the world, spanning over 3,200 kilometers. The race places racers in the harsh, cold, and rugged terrain in Labrador. There were 17 checkpoints around Labrador, and the racers had to check off during the race, and Kicker's Tyler Mugford was there at one of them to talk to the volunteers.
This year, Cane's Quest came back breaking records with 41 two-person teams competing for the first place prize of $50,000. The race started in Labrador City on March 2nd. I was in one checkpoint in particular during Cane's Quest. Where, you might ask? Checkpoint 11, located in Cartwright, Labrador, a small community located on the East Coast. Checkpoint 11 was operating inside of Cartwright's 50-plus club. The racers were treated like royalty. Volunteers quickly served them bowls of hot soup and rows of sandwiches with the word no not being in the volunteers' vocabulary. It was here where I spoke with Jenna Elson about what goes into preparing a checkpoint. Elson was one of 25 volunteers at Checkpoint 11.
So we had to cut down a bunch of trees so that we could have markers ready for the impound. There was lots of ropes, lots of signage that had to be put up, and so we can show teams how to get in and out of town and show them where they have to go while they're resting here. There's just so much stuff. There's food that needs to be prepared. There's just an enormous amount of volunteers and just a lot of prep and time.
Even people from the community pitched in to help. Here's what Samantha Rumble had to say.
Oh my goodness, we had people coming back and forth, even those that didn't actually fill out the volunteer form. They still dropped by, see if there was anything they could do. They made things from pies to muffins to sandwiches, soups, everything. They came down and helped cheer everybody on. It was awesome as always.
The coming together of a community is a highlight of Kane's Quest, seeing everyone come together for a common passion.
We had some great volunteers, spent hours and hours and hours here. Couldn't have been able to pull it off without our awesome team.
Without the volunteers' compassion or the fans' overwhelming support, Kane's Quest just wouldn't be what it is today. I'm Tyler Muckford from Kicker News.
All right, folks, that's all for the news.
Well, thank you, Ashley, for reading that up for us.
You're very welcome.
As we all know, Sears closed earlier this year. There are some rumors floating around about what's going to replace it. Kicker's Margaret Harvey finds out what mall-goers want to see go in this space.
Sears closed their doors for the last time in early January. For the last few days, the store was nearly bare. Sale signs left, right, and center. People crowding around, trying to find something left to bargain on. And now, a giant white wall covers what once was the entrance from the mall's hallway. The doors outside aren't covered, but they are locked and still have "Caution, automatic door" signs on them. It's hard to see through. It looks as though renovations for whatever's to come haven't started. There have been rumors floating around about what's next for the large vacant space. At the moment, mall administration isn't so open about revealing the details, but mall goers Emily Manning and Brady Stride have their own ideas on what should go there next.
Like Forever 21, like H&M, or Lush.
Something cool, man. They can make an arcade there. That'd be cool. My girlfriend said she wanted a Marshalls to be closer. Like anything really that's out in the East End, like a big cool shop, like even like a Best Buy. That'd be better to have in town next to everyone else having to go all the way out to the East End.
And of course, mall employees have their own opinion. Riley Dunn and Brie O'Toole both want to see something unique, but have nothing specific in mind.
It'd be nice to see something like different. There's a lot of like clothing stores and all that kind of jazz. I mean, the latest news thing is like Sunrise Records and stuff like that, right?
Well, we're getting that recreation complex now.
Yeah.
The thing that's going we're getting like Cineplex is giving us that recreation complex now. That's cool.
Yeah, like something new like that, something different, right?
Cool, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Of course, it's impossible to please everyone, but it is a large space. There's a lot of potential for a place as big as Sears was. What if they shared the large space with multiple stores?
Yeah, no, that's what I figured they would do, is just like split it up into like a bunch of chunks.
Neither employee has heard anything in particular about what's next for the vacant Sears space.
Sometimes we do get an inside scoop, but like I honestly haven't heard anything besides
Nobody's coming to the mall anymore.
Yeah.
It's clear people want something new introduced, something that will appeal to everyone. But what's next for the Sears space? Multiple stores or a new department store? We'll just have to wait and see. For Kicker News, I'm Margaret Harvey. Yeah, so the show's flying by today.
Oh, yeah, it's going great. It's great to be here. So for the mall, like, I think it'd be interesting to see what's going to go in the space there.
Yeah, I've heard rumors about a H&M, but I don't want to. I haven't confirmed that.
I've heard rumors about they were gonna. I heard rumors they're doing renovations on the whole mall now, and I heard a rumor that they were gonna put the Scotiabank Theater where Sears used to be.
Really? What about the Cineplex Theater?
Well, with the renovations, they're maneuvering the whole mall. Like all the stores are being shifted around to new locations. So.
Oh, okay, that sounds cool though.
Mm-hmm. Like I don't know.
Maybe Sears closing was for the better of Evelyn Mall. So now we're going to listen to a song by Kicker's own Mike Moore and his band Search Party, and this is Within the Bottle.
And that was Kicker's very own Mike Moore and his band Search Party. As we move along in our first half of the show, has technology taken over the industry of the analog watch? Kicker's Victoria Badcock reports.
We've got the smartwatch and the smartphone, but surprisingly, the clock hasn't stopped on the traditional watch industry. Kearney's Watch Repair at the Avalon Mall in St. John's sells and fixes all kinds of watches. Michelle Norman, the manager, says that when smartphones took off, everyone thought that it was going to kill the watch industry.
The watch companies kicked back in a big way, and they branded and they turned it into, it's more of a fashion accessory and yet still a watch. It is even not killing, but it is even responding really well to the smartwatches. And what they've done is make it something that you have to accessorize your outfit. So everyone has to have a Michael Kors and or a Gucci and or this and or that. And versus 50 years ago when everyone had say their Sunday watch or their dress-up watch and then their everyday watch. Now people have collections of 10, 12, 15, 30 watches.
Brandy O'Keefe wears a watch every single day, mostly to tell the time, but also to make a fashion statement. When she forgets to put one on, her arm feels bare.
I use my watch to tell the time. If not, I'm looking at my wrist if it's not there. I wear them. I do have a great collection of watches, I'd like to think. Ranging in different colors and styles, sizes. I usually go more for how they look or what it's about. If it's a funky color or a different design, I really like that. I'm not one to stick to kind of the status quo.
So it's gone from being a very practical essential to a completely unnecessary but really wanted and desired item. And everybody has one. And kids who can't tell time still wear watches. I see that regularly when I'm sizing a watch that somebody got for Christmas and I say, oh, that's not ticking. Do you want a battery? Oh, it's okay. I can't tell the time. I just want to wear it.
Michelle Norman says business has never been better. To give you an idea, she says she installs about 70 to 80 batteries a day in traditional watches. For watch wearers, there is simply nothing better than an old classic analog watch. For the watch industry, time won't stop ticking. Victoria Badcock, Kicker News.
Current cancer patients and survivors will gather together for the next few weeks to take part in the Defy Cancer program. These people take part in all sorts of activities and exercises. Kicker's Cameron Kilfoy reports.
With the smell of chlorine in children everywhere, a new 6-week program is being held at New World Fitness. The program started this month and runs until April 5th. During these few weeks, current cancer patients and survivors will take part in group discussions, listen to guest speakers, and they'll also work out in the pool and gym. It's a free program run by the Canadian Cancer Society. Susan Penny is the organizer and facilitator of this program. She saw a void that needed to be filled within the community.
So I am a breast cancer survivor. I developed breast cancer 10 years ago and went through a very difficult journey. And during that, I realized there's a lot that is not available to people going through cancer and survivorship. So I developed this program. Yeah.
So each session begins with a guest presenter addressing important cancer-related topics, followed by discussions. A personal trainer takes participants through a low-impact fitness program that builds in intensity as the program progresses. They also provide information packages with take-home exercises. The session finishes with an aquatic exercise in a shallow warm water pool. This portion of the program focuses on joint, muscle, and flexibility health. The benefit of these exercises are numerous, as it encourages circulation, endurance, muscle tone, balance, relaxation, and flexibility.
So it's mostly about movement, very gentle movement, and movement that stimulates different areas of the body. So you might have small circular movements with the arms, building up to the shoulders, very easy neck movements, easy back movements, walking forward, walking back. Just the pressure of the water at different depths, so depending on how deep you put your arm into the water, so just that different pressure gradient helps with lymphatic movement, and that's what the program is developed for.
Really interesting. Okay. Before starting, she applies for grants, and this year the government has given her funds to have 4 new workshops. Being her 5th year in the running, Penny plans to do another program in the fall. Moving forward, she has high hope. Karen Pennell and Aaron Pennell are current cancer patients who met at the first Defy Cancer program 10 years ago when it was just a one-time event. With the program beginning again with new components, they decided to come back. Both women say the program has had a major impact on their recovery.
Well, I met Aaron all that time ago. Yes. Like 10 years ago. And we meet at all kinds of different functions. You meet people that have gone through the same journey as you have. So you feel free that you're able to talk to them. And I've met so many new friends. And we don't sit down and talk about it and says, oh my God, like that. Yeah. You know, it's just... You find out everybody's story, and then you're exercising or you're going to a social event or whatever. So it's a whole new world. Yeah.
But we do have a little, kind of time at the beginning where we just share. And the benefits of sharing is that you learn something from someone else, but you're also able to help someone else. And helping someone else makes you feel so good.
Yes.
The program's given these people a chance to talk about their illness and share their journey. It keeps them active and social, a big help on the road to recovery. For Kicker News, I'm Cameron Kilfoy. Lifting weights isn't just for men. Kicker's Victoria Plowman tells us about her incredible weight loss journey through powerlifting.
There's a stigma that weightlifting is for men and women should stick to the easy stuff. And for 2 years, I was terrified to step foot in a gym because of that. My boyfriend Adam first introduced me to lifting in 2015. I was 250 pounds. When I say that I hated myself, I mean that I couldn't look in the mirror without wanting to cry. Food was my best friend, and physical activity wasn't my forte, so at 17 years old, I was already severely obese. Going to the gym, I was surrounded by these huge, sweaty guys grunting and groaning, so I was terrified. If we'd go to the gym and I counted more than 4 or 5 cars parked outside, I'd make Adam turn around and bring me back home. Eventually, I just gave up. In November 2016, I weighed in at 272 pounds. I remember just hearing the word fat echoing in my mind every single day until I just couldn't take it anymore. So I begged Adam to take me back to the gym. I focused solely on my stamina and on my strength, not on losing weight. I kept getting better, and soon I was able to do my own lifting without needing Adam around to make sure I was doing it properly. The weight started coming off after a few months, and little by little, I started to see small changes in how I looked and how I felt. It gave me that motivation I'd been trying to find for so long. And so, here we are. I'm currently 168 pounds, and there are no words I can use to describe how great I feel. I had the pleasure of talking to a woman here in St. John's who powerlifts competitively, Madison Pretty. She grew up surrounded by powerlifting, watching her parents train and her older brother compete. Madison is so full of passion for the sport, it inspires me even more. She told me about the thrill of competing at meets.
Okay, so the first time I competed was in September, so last September, and that was like, oh my god, it was so nerve-wracking. It was like really intense. But I think it was more so, I don't know if the nerves like ever go away really, like I think it depends on what kind of like competitor you are, but I was like so nervous the whole day. I competed again in December, and like what I found so far is that meets like really push you to like lift things that like you never thought. Like there's a difference between like getting a PR in the gym and then like pushing yourself and like getting a PR at the meet. So much like adrenaline and like there's like a crowd and everyone's yelling and like yeah. So it kind of taught me to like kind of push myself a little bit more instead of being like oh like I don't think I should like go for that today or like I don't think I could do that. Like, it kind of proved to me that I need to, like, believe in myself a little bit more.
The stigma that women shouldn't lift exists everywhere. But Madison surrounds herself with people who build her up and encourage her.
We have, like, a private room that we have, like, for certain times of the day and everything. And I say it's pretty, like, half and half. Like, we have, like, it's in terms of, like, men and women. And, like, my coach, one of my coaches she's won worlds in her weight class. Like, she's got gold, like, 3 times, and like she's broken all these records and everything, so like she's super strong and like inspiring, and like we all love her. So I haven't had to like deal with that so much from like my team because we all kind of like support each other. And like all my friends and stuff have been like really good about it, and they're like, oh, like that's so cool. But like sometimes like, especially on social media, like you get like the odd comment of like, oh, like should you really be lifting all that? Like, and it's kind of people just like projecting their own opinions on you.
So many women are afraid to make that leap from the treadmill to the bench, and that's why I wanted to share my story. Focus on you, focus on getting better, and I promise you, the rest will follow. For Kicker News, I'm Victoria Plowman, and no, I don't need you to lift that for me.
Welcome back to the second half of our show today. We're still live in the K109 studios, and a big thanks to those watching on Rogers Community Television.
Do you think pineapple is a strange pizza topping? Well, Kicker's Adam Pike heads over to Peter's Pizza where he discovers some even more unique toppings.
Forget everything you thought you knew about burlesque. Kicker's Erica Yetman brings us to Bring the Heat Burlesque show in downtown St. John's.
But first, here's Ashley Shepard with the news.
With the mall's biggest retailer now empty, residents of St. John's have lots of input about how they would like to see the space being used. We'll hear more about that a little later.
Something cool, man. They can make an arcade there. That'd be cool. My girlfriend said she wanted a Marshall's to be closer. Like anything really that's out in the East End, like a big cool shop, like even like a Best Buy. That'd be better to have in town next to everyone else having to go all the way out in the East End.
Agriculture in Newfoundland is growing, and so is the importance of keeping an eye on the bee population. I spoke with a chemistry student from Memorial University about the research that he's doing.
And of course, bees are important because they pollinate so many crops. Not so much in Newfoundland yet, but where our agricultural sector is growing, the bees will become more and more important as we're growing more food for us on the island.
The 2018 Winter Games are on all week in Deer Lake. Kicker's Josh White was out on location in Deer Lake this past weekend for all the excitement.
The 2018 Winter Games is back for another year. This time, it's in Deer Lake. Over 1,300 athletes and hundreds of volunteers will be at the games. The mayor of Deer Lake, Dean Ball, says that they've only had a short amount of time to prepare for the games.
February 2017 is when we decided that we would take it on. It was a bit short, but first time ever that somebody did it in less than a year, so it's good.
With only about a year to get ready, the town of Deer Lake was up against it. They needed help, and they got it from local sponsors, businesses, residents, and nearby communities.
We got the bowling and ice hockey is at our recreation center. We got basketball, gymnastics, badminton, and table tennis at the Xavier and Elwood schools. We got our Pentecostal Church gym is doing volleyball and the wrestling. And in Corner Brook at the Civic Center, we got the figure skating. And even in Pasadena, we got the cross-country skiing. And Steady Brook at Marble Mountain, we got the alpine skiing. And, of course, we have curling at the Curling Club in Corner Brook. So it's a good cross-section of community involvement from here to Corner Brook, we did a similar thing in 2006. So it's a great experience for our youth, for sure.
Brad Romaine is a games coordinator for the Winter Games this year. He says the Winter Games can't be a success without the town of Deer Lake and surrounding areas coming together as one community.
In Winter Games in particular, I mean, of course, there's several winter sports that dictate their venue, whether it's cross country, downhill skiing, curling. So, I mean, we didn't have the facilities in Deer Lake, so naturally we'd have to go outside the community. Actually, we've had great response from each one of those communities. We have to, it takes a little bit of pressure off you. I mean, we want to have a successful games, and I mean, we can't provide all the venues, and I mean, so to have someone come up on board and say, "Listen, now we'll take care of that for you," so it's great.
The Winter Games are in full swing. You can catch all the action until Saturday, but what impresses Dean Ball and Brad Romaine the most is the support from the community and the surrounding areas to help make these Winter Games successful. Reporting for Kicker Radio, I'm Josh White.
Cane's Quest is the longest snowmobile race in the world, spanning over 3,200 kilometers. The race places racers in the harsh, cold, and rugged terrain in Labrador. There was 17 checkpoints around Labrador the racers had to check off during the race, and kickers Tyler Mugford was at one of them to talk to the volunteers.
This year, Canes Quest came back breaking records with 41 two-person teams competing for the first place prize of $50,000. The race started in Labrador City on March 2nd. I was in one checkpoint in particular during Canes Quest. Where, you might ask? Checkpoint 11, located in Cartwright, Labrador, a small community located on the East Coast. Checkpoint 11 was operating inside of Cartwright's 50 Plus Club. The racers were treated like royalty. Volunteers quickly served them bowls of hot soup and rows of sandwiches with the word no not being in the volunteers' vocabulary. It was here where I spoke with Jenna Elson about what goes into preparing a checkpoint. Elson was one of 25 volunteers at Checkpoint 11.
So we had to cut down a bunch of trees so that we could have markers ready for the impound. There was lots of ropes, lots of signage that had to be put up, and so we can show teams how to get in and out of town and show them where they have to go while they're resting here. There's just so much stuff. There's food that needs to be prepared. There's just an enormous amount of volunteers and just a lot of prep and time.
Even people from the community pitched in to help. Here's what Samantha Rumble had to say.
Oh my goodness, we had people coming back and forth, even those that didn't actually fill out the volunteer form. They still dropped by, see if there was anything they could do. They made things from pies to muffins to sandwiches, soups, everything. They came down and helped cheer everybody on. It was awesome as always.
The coming together of a community is a highlight of Canes Quest, seeing everyone come together for a common passion.
We had some great volunteers, spent hours and hours and hours here. Couldn't have been able to pull it off without our awesome team.
Without the volunteers' compassion or the fans' overwhelming support, Canes Quest just wouldn't be what it is today. I'm Tyler Mugford from Kicker News.
All right, folks, and that's all for the news.
Thank you so much, Ashley.
Not a problem at all.
Do you like pizza? Of course you do. What's the craziest topping you can think of? Anchovies? Pineapple? Kickers Adam Pike takes us to Peter's Pizza on O'Leary Avenue, a pizzeria gaining attention for its gourmet pizza slices, and what comes on them.
Camels, kangaroos, and ostriches are here in St. John's. No, the city isn't getting a zoo. These animals are on the menu. Peter's Pizza has been a staple in St. John's since the 70s, and now the franchise on O'Leary Avenue is generating buzz over their gourmet pizza slices. These aren't your average pizza slices, coming topped with elegant cheeses and anything from Baharat chicken to fish and brews. It might sound a little cheesy, but manager Laura Bozdatova says it's all about making her customers happy.
Well, we always try to offer our customers something new to try, because we have lots of customers who have pizza here every day. So we started first with some vegetables and making our own pulled pork, or just throwing out some fancy Italian meats on it. And then it came to our attention that the fish store offers alligator meat. So first we started with that, and it was pretty cool.
After success with the alligator and pork, the pizzeria decided to keep experimenting with their specialty slices.
We've tried Jig's Dinner, we've tried fish and brews on a pizza, and recently we got some meat from Toronto. We have the wild boar, the camel, and today we made the kangaroo. And we're just trying to offer our customers something different to try.
So far, the response has been great, and pizza lovers like Memorial University student Kayla Thompson are getting hooked.
Yeah, I love pizza. I've tried a bunch of different places around town, and we just keep coming back to Peter's Pizza. I usually just go for pepperoni and cheese, but I did see a Jake's Dinner Pizza one day, so I had to get a slice of that one. I haven't tried any of the new meats, but I've seen them on display, and they look actually really yummy, so yeah, I probably will stop by and give them a try.
If you're wondering what's on today's menu, Bozdatova says she updates their Facebook page daily. As for what to expect in the future, she says the pizzeria will keep trying new things.
For meat, I'm not sure if there is anything more, but of course we're willing to try anything that comes our way, something different. I think we have ostrich that we haven't done yet. Let's say a new something vegetable or a fruit that we can put on a pizza, maybe something like that. But as far as meat goes, there isn't that many options.
Whether you're a pizza lover looking to try something new, or an adventurous eater looking for your next challenge, Peter's on O'Leary should be on your radar. Adam Pike, Kicker News.
Search Party released their debut album 2 weeks ago. From the self-titled debut, here is Storytelling Man.
storytelling man.
Mary Alicia Sharon hasn't had it easy for a couple years. From blood transfusion to an artificial heart pump, she is on her way to receiving a heart transplant. Kicker's Beth Penny has her story.
For over 2 years, Mary Alicia Sharon from Mount Pearl has been at the Heart Institute of Ottawa receiving blood transfusions and treatments to lower the blood pressure in her heart. But things haven't been going smoothly. All the treatments have been leading towards one main goal, to receive a heart transplant. Her first major step towards this goal happened at the end of November when she received a HVAD artificial heart pump.
I got it on the 22nd of November, and I was in hospital until end of February. I got out of the hospital because that was a Wednesday that I got it on. So they had it scheduled for the Friday before that, but they had to wait for a biopsy result because they did a scope on me, and that was one of the tests. So, so they waited for the result of the biopsy, and then everything was fine there. Went ahead with the surgery then, and so I got my dad. I gave him a name. His name is Vladimir.
Sharon says that she has been having troubles with her blood levels ever since she received the HVAD.
I'm having problems with my blood levels, what's called hemoglobin, because the dad chews it up. It's causing bleeding, I think, in my stomach. So my blood went right down to 54, and normal is like 115 to 160. Everybody was like, I don't know how you're even walking like that. Because I went in and got my blood work done, and then I had to go see the nurse. I had to tell her, like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm really tired. Went to go to rehab, and I was just about to start, and the nurse phones me. Don't do rehab. Your blood is 54.
Although Sharon has been having blood pressure problems, she is still confident she will soon be eligible for a heart transplant.
What they do is they do a test that's called the right heart cath, and it goes in through your neck and goes to your heart, and they take measurements and pressures of your lungs and your heart. They upped the date because mine wasn't supposed to be till the end of May because they wanted to wait 6 months. But they ended up, because of this blood problem I was having, I guess they wanted to do it now just to find out, if I could go on the list. So they did it. My numbers are really good to go on the list, and they're actually meeting this morning. So they have a team that meets Wednesday, so it has to go towards the board. Now, they did another biopsy in other parts of my body, let's say women parts. So they're going to say I got to wait for that biopsy result. They want to make sure I don't have any cancer, that was where I had cancer before.
An external controller to manage the pump sits on her hip in a bag that looks like a purse. No matter what her situation, Sharon always manages to keep her sense of humor.
I was at Shoppers Drug Mart, and it's got a little zip in it, so that's where I put my money. And I had kind of laid the bag on the counter and unzipped it. And the girl behind the counter was like, oh, that's a nice purse. And of course, me being me, I was like, oh, that's my heart.
It will only be a few more weeks until Sharon finds out if she will be placed on a list for a heart transplant, allowing her to live a more comfortable life.
So now I'm just waiting for that call to say, yes, you're back on the transplant list. At least I'm out of the hospital and I can live life, and hopefully I can enjoy the quality of my life more now with the VAD, making me feel more like it's my heart.
For Kicker Radio, I'm Beth Penny.
Before we get into our next story, I'd like to give a special shout out to everyone listening to us here on Kicker Radio and everyone watching on Rogers Community Television. Memorial University researchers have been working hard to create new material that might make a change in how we protect the bee population. Kicker's Ashley Shepard has the story.
Bees are one of the most vital creatures in existence. It is estimated that 1/3 of the food we consume each day relies on pollination by bees, making them the most important pollinator of food crops. However, our bees are dying, and researchers continue to search for the reasons as to why it's happening and what we can do to fix it. The Memorial University Chemistry Department is working on something that has potential to make a change. Jeremy Gauthier and Christina Bottaro have teamed up to create intelligent material designed to detect even the slightest trace of neonicotinoid, an insecticide commonly found in farming pesticides, a chemical that is known to kill bees.
Most of the literature agrees that continued use of the neonicotinoids are potentially detrimental towards the population of bees.
Gauthier has been spending his mornings, afternoons, and evenings in the lab working on his research. He says that in other parts of the world, and even some provinces in Canada, they have already begun to regulate and even ban the use of insecticides.
And of course, bees are important because they pollinate so many crops. Not so much in Newfoundland yet, but where our agricultural sector is growing, the bees will become more and more important as we're growing more food for us on the island.
Gauthier says some researchers even say the use of neonicotinoids isn't effective, so it's possible that we don't even need to be using them in the first place. It's unclear whether or not Newfoundland will begin regulating the use of these pesticides, as researchers are still figuring out whether or not the benefit of using them outweighs the detriment.
We're gathering the data necessary to make these regulatory changes. So, for example, what we're doing is we're developing these intelligent materials that can achieve better detection limits. The methods and materials we're developing will allow us to map the actual distribution of these pesticides.
Catherine Dempsey is the president of Newfoundland and Labrador Beekeeping Association, and she is very excited about what the MUN chemistry team is up to. She says there are plans in place to grow agriculture and farming in Newfoundland drastically. So just because pesticides aren't a problem right now, doesn't mean they won't be in the future.
So it's good for us if there's more agriculture. But if you bring in agriculture that's all GMO-treated seeds or pesticide-treated or do the old-fashioned kinds of things like spraying, thinking about the fact that you might have beekeepers next door, and you go out and you spray your crop in the middle of the day, bees are on your trees. Well, no, so there's got to be ways to work together.
But luckily, Dempsey says that because we are so behind, there's a chance to do it right. Avoid some of the mistakes other places have made with pesticide use. For Kicker News, I'm Ashley Shepard.
So the show's going pretty well. Hey, Cameron.
Oh, yes, going great. It's a great time up in here. All the time.
So let's hear from Search Party again. Here's Once Alive from their debut album.
I've walked these city streets. I've seen the sun go down. I've sailed across the waters and let my worries drown. I've seen the good men fall and others left behind. Memories may fade, but my footsteps you will find. I've walked these city streets. I've seen the sun go down. I've sailed across the waters and let my worries drown. Where the wind blows on and on in a sky that never ends.
Chapman takes us to the Bring the Heat burlesque show featuring the Island Bells and their body positive burlesque troupe.
What comes to mind when you think burlesque? Feathers, flappers, and fun. Island Bells Burlesque caused the temperatures to rise this weekend during their Bring the Heat show. But to the Bells, it's about a lot more than bringing it on the stage. Island Bells Burlesque is a family. Melissa Somerton, aka Dita Von Teese, thanks Burlesque for bringing confidence and strength into her life.
I started burlesque about 5 years ago. I always wanted to start doing the burlesque dancing, but I had a lot of self-confidence issues that prevented me from going on stage. But after a very bad relationship, I decided it was time to reinvent myself and put myself out there. And I've been dancing ever since.
5 years later, her passion is just as strong as it was the first day she started.
The art form of burlesque, it's sensual, it's sexual, it's in your face and not in your face all at the same time. It gives you such an outlet to be creative and sexy all at once. It's everything and more.
Catherine Neal, aka Kitty Nova, saw her first Island Bells show and decided she had to try it for herself.
I came to the Baby Bells show for my friend Sarah. Her stage name is Double Delight. And I fell in love with it. I love the glitz, the glamour, the girls, the body positivity, the community of it, and as soon as I left the show, I said, I'm doing it.
One thing rings clear with the Bells. They are more than a burlesque troupe, and they are doing more than dancing. They are creating an environment where everyone is welcome, and loving yourself is the only rule.
It's a family. It's a sense of community. All the girls look out for each other. We're here for each other for support, body positivity, any shape, size, however everyone is welcomed.
Somerton wants anyone who has even considered trying burlesque to put their worries aside and give it a go, because they will be welcomed with open arms.
When you're with a group of women who are experienced, you're like, maybe you feel a little intimidated, but like I mentioned earlier, once you're in there, everyone is just so wonderful and supportive, and that's what I want people to know, is that it's not just women going on stage and taking off their clothes for 3 minutes. It's a community of people who love and support and care for one another more than just as colleagues on stage. We're actually friends. We're a family.
From the Bring the Heat show, this is Erica Yetman for Kicker News.
Yeah, so it's been a great show. Hey, Cameron.
Oh, yes, it's been something. And once again, I'd like to thank you, Ashley, for coming in and reading our newscast out for us.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Yeah, I really liked your use of the bee sounds when you
Thank
did your
you.
story. That was really good. And the little bird tweets, it was adorable. I loved it.
I do my best.
It's sad to see that the bees are going extinct like it is. Like, that's something we need
Save
to
the
pollinate
bees,
our
man.
flowers.
Yeah,
like,
but the research that they're doing at MUN is really impressive work, and hopefully it'll look up.
Yeah. And we need that pollen. We definitely do.
We do.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite show, guys? Or favorite
Favorite story?
Yeah.
I would have to say either Kane's Quest or Victoria's Piece. Victoria's Piece was really it was special. It was something different. I liked it.
Do you wear a watch yourself?
Do I
wear watches?
Oh, no, powerlifting Victoria.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the other Victoria.
Yeah, that's a good piece. I really like that. I used to do powerlifting myself, as you can tell.
Yeah,
so and
so
yeah,
did
it was
I.
something.
Yeah, I really liked the weight loss one as well. I used to go to the gym and I used to be able to lift a lot of weight, but yeah, so I really like that one, and I like the bee one. That was really cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. And Erica's Burlesque Babes one was also really good. The music and everything was really
the way she used the sound was
perfect.
for sure.
Yeah. So if you've enjoyed our show today, you can check it out, these and some other stories at kicker.cna-nl.com.
Thanks for tuning in, those listening on Kicker Radio, and thanks again for watching us on Rogers Community Television.
Yeah, and we have a song now for you, right?
Yes, once again, here is Search Party with Look Away.
Blood on his hands with a heart of cold, chased by shadows of a broken soul. People look away. He's a righteous man, but does he pretend? Lead or silver is only spent. People look away.
I'm Lauren Eddy. I'm from Bonavista. I started out with music at like 4 or 5 years old, playing the piano and the organ. And I grew and I started singing and writing my own music, and I taught myself the guitar. So I've been doing it a really long time, actually. I had this conversation with someone last year, actually. They were asking me, like, what makes you want to pursue, like, it's a difficult field at times, but it's kind of the thing where you can't not do it. It's kind of in me at this point. Like, I can't not pursue it. It's everything I've ever wanted to do. This first song is called To Keep You Warm. It's one of my own. Walked away for good that day. You get good at leaving and search for home. I'm tired, I'm not myself, I'm someone else. So I go packing up my things, picking up the pieces, leaving the night amidst the desolation, destruction. I leave it behind. Don't burn down my house. Don't let the flames catch. I give into ashes. I become trying to keep you warm, trying to keep myself, trying to keep you warm. Oh, trying to keep you warm. Ran away for good that day. I'm tired. I'm not myself. I'm someone else. Looking in the mirror, I'm a shell, exhausted, hollowed out wreck of someone else. I'm not myself. Oh, don't burn down my house. Don't let the flames catch. I give into ashes. I become trying to keep you warm, trying to keep myself, trying to keep you warm. Oh, don't burn down my house. Don't let the flames catch.
I've become, trying to keep you warm, trying to keep myself, trying to keep you warm, trying to